and the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Kyle here, and it is Saturday, and you know what that means. It's time for all the toy news, action figure news of the week that interested me, that hopefully interests you. And another banner week for toy news this week. Not quite as big as the last couple of weeks, and let's be honest, we all need a little bit of a lull, and all of our wallets need a little bit of a break. But we got some announcements this week, some things to talk about, and some deep business dealings to get into here with some frustrations in the retro wrestling world this week. I'm going to lay it out there. I'm going to give the old business chat. We're going to talk about it in this very video. And of course, we always start these weekly toy news and weekly purchases off with a little housekeeping. Of course, housekeeping, it is the month of August. We got the August giveaway for Patreon. It is going to be Adam Cole, baby. We unboxed him on the channel. Check out that review this week. But if you're a Patreon member, you can be in the chance to win this Adam Cole figure. So check out the Patreon, link in the description below. As I always do say, tons of content over there. There's probably well over 200 videos there, and I have been getting a ton of videos done and putting them up. I've been putting 3 videos out a day on traditional YouTube. I don't think you could put too many more on YouTube a day. People are just going to totally miss them, and so many people miss most of my videos anyways. I get so many messages every single day. Hey, when are you going to review this? When are you going to review that? Well, I did it 2 days ago. I did it a week ago. I did it 3 days ago. What have you. There's a lot of content on this channel. I do know that. We got even more on Patreon. This weekend should be a ton of Patreon stuff. There's so much stuff I would love to get out there, but you can't put out 100 videos in a day. But I got so much stuff backlogged on Patreon. And this week, if you see the weekly purchases tomorrow, there's going to be so much content on that Patreon. It's about ready to explode. So Patreon, of course, best way to support the channel. Plus, you get early access to all this kind of stuff, plus bonus stuff. There's a ton of content over there on Patreon. So check it out if that's something you are interested in. Is a lot of these videos going to take some time to get out there to traditional YouTube, but we'll get there eventually. So there you go. Looking ahead, of course, next week is PowerCon week. Columbus, Ohio. Beautiful this time of year. I'll let you guys know live from over there. Going to be very similar to San Diego Comic-Con, just a little bit smaller. But I'm going to be there doing a lot of coverage, walkthroughs, toy hunts, you name it. A lot going on PowerCon week. I am leaving on Thursday, and I will be back, I think, Sunday night or something like that. So next week, weekly purchases, toy news. We may end up skipping it, or however, I might get up really early Thursday morning, and I might film them both as a combined video. So we might do an old school, for longtime viewers of the channel, old school toy news weekly purchases all in one next week. We'll see what happens with that. But there should be a lot of content to come out of PowerCon. A couple exclusives I got to wait in line for. Very excited to go to PowerCon. Never been to PowerCon before, so this will be my first time. If you're going, if you see me, say hi, something like that. You guys know how it goes. But I will be out there on the ground, boots on the ground, checking it out, seeing what all the fuss is about, as we always do say. But now let's dive into the toy news, and it's going to be a controversial one this week. We're not going to be making some friends this week, I don't think, out there, but we got to do it. We got to call it like we see it, as we always do say. But let's start it off with wrestling. This week, though, nothing new from AEW Jazzwares, nothing new from WWE Mattel. I guess we're still riding the wave of San Diego Comic-Con. Nothing really to announce, and I don't expect either of those announcing anything at PowerCon, but San Diego Comic-Con, we got some new announcements from them, and I guess that's going to hold us over for a little bit longer. So we'll wait, but we do got plenty of retro wrestling figure news to dive in and discuss about, and we always have a little segment of this, and this month, or this week, I should say, not month, but maybe month, this week we got a lot to talk about in the retro wrestling figure news, and I've said it before. I said this probably 8 months ago on the channel, kind of predictions for 2023. I said, you know what, there's so many of these extra wrestling companies right now, there's no way they're all going to make it. And we've already seen one retro supplier throw in the towel. I don't know if we'll see any more. We'll see. I got a feeling some more are going to fall before the end of the year. We'll see what happens, though. As always, I'm hoping for the best for everybody. I love wrestling figures. You're watching this, most likely you love wrestling figures. We got to root for everybody to do a good job, because guess what? If everybody does good, if KWK does a good job, Hessel does a good job, the Major Pod Group does a good job, it rises everybody. It makes everybody better. That is business at the end of the day. So we need more of that. Well, this week was a tough one, and we're looking at Rush Collectibles this week. Now, Rush Collectibles, it's been a little bit interesting as we pre-ordered well over a year ago, a year and a month ago. Let's just call it a year. A year ago, we pre-ordered a lot of stuff. No different than a lot of these companies, but it's been delay after delay, taking time. Well, finally this week, those figures did arrive, and what do you know right here? I got Jonah. I got Larry Zbyszko. I've got Larry Zbyszko Chase Edition, and I've got Roadblock here. So I actually pre-ordered 4 of these, and I also pre-ordered the French Angel. He has been delayed, apparently, there. So I got 4 figures here. I got these in the mail. Haven't done my unboxing of these yet. I said, gosh, I don't have time. I'll get to it. I'm planning on unboxing these this weekend. So look forward to that video. Of course, Patreon first, then traditional YouTube. Probably open up 2 Larry Zbyszkos in a video, Jonah and Roadblock in a video is probably the plan here. So, and you guys know, longtime viewers of the channel know, I don't watch any other toy reviews, and if I do watch another toy review, it's after I've already reviewed something. I don't want to have anybody else's thoughts in my mind. I just want my first take, my first impressions. I don't want to spew somebody else's opinions on something, because then why do I even do a video? You just watch there. So I want to get my first take, and that's why I think it is so important when doing an unboxing video, it's got to be live. I know nothing against anybody else that does unboxing videos. A lot of people unbox them off camera. They have with them, they play with them, they sit with them for a day or two, then they do a review on them. That is fine, but I'm all about that first impression. What is the first impression? Is it the greatest thing you've ever had out of a package, or is it the hottest of hot garbage out of the package? I want to see that stuff. Well, unfortunately, I guess for me and my reviewing plans, the way I do things, this week, Rush Collectibles, a lot of controversy. Controversy creates cash. Don't know if it'll happen in this instance here, but the Major Pod Group, of course, Matt Cardona, he unboxed some of these, and unfortunately, these things crumpled into about dust. They did not connect. They fell apart right out of the package there. Obviously, that isn't a good look. When you're paying $25 for one of these, plus $10 shipping, let's just call it $35 a piece, these should not be falling apart just on simple movements and things like that. That is an absolute traumatic disaster. That should not happen. Now, I'm going to still say it. Hey, that was his experience. I haven't had my experience yet. I will give you my truthful experience, but in the back of my mind, I do know now that these possibly could crumple into dust in front of me. I hope not, but it very well could happen, and I kind of assume it will end up happening. But we'll see. We'll unbox these on the channel, but not a good look. When you're waiting a year plus for these, you're paying $35 a piece, you expect your figure not to be broken out of the package. Let's be honest. I think everybody would agree with that assessment. Well, unfortunately, these crumpled to dust, and we did get a statement from Rush Collectibles, and I got that right here. So I'm going to open up my phone. I got it here on my phone, and we actually got 2 different announcements, actually technically 3 announcements this week, and I'm going to read this first one here from Rush Collectibles. In light of the current events with Ringmaster action figures, we want to thank the Major Wrestling Figure Pod for finding and pointing out the issue with our figures. Right there is an absolute disaster. Unfortunately, both of these press releases here had many spelling mistakes, things like that. That is also not a good look. You're opening yourself up for a lot of jokes on things like that, but you're also not looking very professional when you do things like that. And at the end of the day, it is a business, and you're going to market as a business of your wares, be it handbags, clothes, food, toys. You've got to do everything to put your best foot forward. I don't care what you are, what you're making. You've got to have the best possible look possible, because it is a business. You want to grow your business. You want to succeed in business. And a lot of people will see a press release with spelling errors like this, and they just lose interest immediately, saying this is just something that was typed up on a computer, wasn't ran by anybody, things like that. You're opening yourself up for a lot of trouble. But the biggest thing, this is just the first paragraph I'm breaking into this thing, is Major Pod pointing out the issue with our figures. Now, you can go back to Power Town. We had issues with Power Town and the Major Pod. Once again, they get first access to a lot of this stuff, so they're the first to find these things out, of course. And the Power Town figures breaking in their hands. I mean, I'm not saying conspiracy.
You ever wonder if they're watching your every move? Cell phones, internet, surveillance, think about it.
But I'm saying conspiracy. I have no idea what's going on with these toy companies because, let's be honest, I put my business hat on. I am in business. I work for a major, major company, one of the biggest companies in the world for what we do. Something every one of you watching this has probably touched, had, tasted in their life. And I go to this press release here would have me melt down level 100. You've seen me melt down Omega Spawns and stuff, and that's subdued. And when I get to my real world business job that really puts the food on my table and feeds my family, I'm very, very passionate about what I do. And this would just elevate me to new levels seeing this, because how does Major Pod point out issues with the figures? Are you telling me Rush Collectibles and Power Town, we talked about this before, how does nobody do quality control? You get factory samples, you get factory prototypes on cards before they go out to everybody else. You unbox them yourself, you go through the motions, make sure everything is right where it needs to be, because you only have one chance at a first impression. Think of anything in life. If somebody gives you a bad first impression, are you going to do it again? If you go to the restaurant down the street, new pizza place opened down the street, and it was the worst service, the worst tasting pizza, are you going to give that place another try? Most people are never going to set foot in that establishment ever again, and then word of mouth is the worst thing and the best thing. And in things like that, we know how it is. Look at the internet. Whenever something bad happens, people talk about it all day long. They're pushing it out there. Oh, did you see this? It's horrible. Oh, this is god-awful. But then if you get something that's great, people talk about it, but people promote the negative a heck of a lot more than the positive. So if these Rush Collectible figures were great, they would, a couple people would say, hey, these are the greatest thing. These are really nice. And you'd hear a little of that. But when they're bad and they're meltdown, they fall apart, everybody and their mom knows all about it. So some people do say any publicity is good publicity, but not in this case. It's great to get your name out there. Great to know that there's action figure company exists. But then there's a lot of people who are saying, wow, now I'm just finding out about this. I will never buy their wares. So dangerous, dangerous, dangerous. And I don't care what you're doing. This is Kyle's business tip 101. Take it or leave it. I don't care what you do. But if you're ever bringing something to market, man, test it out, taste test it, play with it, make sure it is the best possible thing you can do and put your rubber stamp on, because if it's not, it's a disaster waiting to happen. So I wanted to get that. I'm just in paragraph 1 right here. What's great about this is we can fix it in bold going forward. Going forward, we'll be using a new factory. This has been in motion for a while now, not just because of the current figure issues that were just brought to our attention, but because of the wait times. Okay, they should always be doing that. That should be worked behind the scenes. The customer fan base doesn't really need to know about these factories. It's nice to be a little open out there, but you don't want to burn any bridges with factories, talk about that kind of stuff. Some of the behind the scenes stuff, how the sausage is made. You don't really want that out there too much, I can tell you that. But they can fix it going forward. And it says, this will be corrected going forward. We learn and we grow, smiley face. We want to thank everyone for their support, continue to support our brand now and in the future. The future for Rush is very, very bright, not just for our wrestling themed lines, but also our very cool horror line, licensing from superheroes to kaijus to 80s movies. Rush is about to do the Hasbro Retros we dreamed about as kids, and we hope you come along for the ride. Onward and upward, Sal from Rush. Now, I get what he's trying to do there. I get what he's trying to say and what he's trying to convey to the audience, but here is the biggest thing here. People spent, right here, I spent $100, over $100 on 4 figures that possibly are going to fall apart right out of the package. Why would I ever buy these again if that is the case? Am I a glutton for punishment? Maybe. We'll see what happens. But why would I buy these again? And what are you going to do about that fan base that just got defective product? Something should happen. There's got to be a replacement. There's got to be money back, free figures, something. Because, gosh, I don't know. Not everybody is as nice as I'm going to be about this, I think, because most people are never going to buy these figures again if they fall apart. And I don't get anything to feel good about my purchase. Hey, I gave you $100. You sat on my $100 for a year, plus in some instances, you got interest on that, or I could have got interest on that money. Times are tough right now. I could have done something different with that money, especially if I knew at the very end that things were going to fall apart. Man, oh man, that is a tough, tough pill to swallow to the people that are supporting your brands by not making it right at all and just saying, hey, we're moving on, we'll be better next time. Man, there's not going to be another next time if that is the case. So this is one of the most dangerous press releases I've ever seen in my life, because you're alienating a fan base that supported you. You're alienating a fan base that was inquisitive, like, okay, what is this all about? I've never heard of Rush. Now I'm going to check this out. They could have put something out here to really make it right with the people that supported them, and maybe gathered some interest into the future. And they tried to do that, promoting some of the lines down below, but too little too late in a lot of ways. And like I said, spelling errors in here too, man, that's a tough look too. That makes you feel not as professional as you want to be. There's no doubt about it. So now the second announcement comes back. Ringmasters 2 pushed back, more info coming. Well, obviously they're going to push things back. They got a new factory. They definitely got to fix these issues. And like I'm saying, as of right now, I have not personally had the issues. Stay tuned on the channel, subscribe, all that kind of fun stuff. We will unbox it and find out. But then, after all this kind of hoopla has been going on, all the bad publicity all over social media, figure groups, things like that, we get another statement from Rush Collectibles. Unfortunately, once again, a lot of spelling mistakes, spelling errors, comma errors, things like that. And I'm by no means a linguist here. I'm by no means the master of the English language. My dad, an English teacher at one time in a former life when he was just starting out, so my dad was really good. I always had my dad proofread stuff. Or that old KG Outlaw, good friend of the channel, Waylon Jennings, heck of a proofreader out there. Oh, shout out to you, old Waylon Jennings. But here's the second announcement we got from Rush Collectibles. Hi everyone, wanted to give some quick updates regarding future figure releases. French Angel and Chris Van Vliet and beyond. So I've pre-ordered the French Angel. I have a history with him. We've talked about that before. I'm anxiously awaiting that figure. We have met with the new figure, or the new factory, regarding a plan to make sure that the issues from the old factory don't happen again. Well, the new factory wouldn't have the issues of the old factory, you would hope, so that's kind of a weird statement there. Figures will be molded in dominant color of what figures color palette, and the rest of the colors will be added, so they're changing the process. Figures will not use glue to be held together. They will be using ultrasonic welding, which is very common, very similar in the Super 7 reaction figures, things like that. This is a process fusing together the plastic so that it becomes one piece. It kind of vibrates in there. This was not offered to us with the last factory. Well, that's where you say, well, you're not offering this last factory. I'm going to a different factory. That's what you would want to do in that case, but they did not. So we'll be using stamp printing for the eyes of the figures going forward. I haven't even looked at the figures. Didn't even know there was an issue with the eyes, so I guess we'll look into that too. This will allow us the ability to have multi-layered colors in the pupils of the eyes. New factory will be adding an inside pegs and seams to snap all future figures. Much, much stronger together. So that's the issue we had over here with these. And then it says at the bottom, a quick statement. We realized that we pulled a Shockmaster debut of action figures. LOL. So once again, LOL, you can't put, I mean, I understand that in a text to a buddy or a Facebook post or a comment in YouTube. Not in a press release, you don't put LOL. But we've learned from this and how to correct it, and it is being corrected. Despite the extreme negativity, now I'm hoping, I'm sure maybe somebody, or this will get back to Rush, I don't know, maybe it won't at all, who knows. I'm not being negative, I'm just calling it like I see it. From a business hat that I wear every single day for over 30 years in the industry business, with a lot of this similar things crossing over, I don't think I'm being negative, I'm just giving my opinion here. But you can say I'm negative if you want. I mean, it's up to you guys. You can let me know in the comments. But it says in all caps here, Rush isn't going anywhere. We will not close up shop. We will not quit. Yes, this was a setback for us, but everyone loves a comeback story. Sal from Rush, and they do love a comeback story. We all do, but man, you got to have an opportunity to get that comeback story. That's the hard part there. And I have spewed this knowledge on the channel before. I've talked about this on the channel before when I talk business things. And this is possibly the best business advice I ever received in my whole life. When I was a lot younger, starting off, I had a mentor. And we all need mentors in business. We need mentors in life. And this guy told me, he said, Kyle, here's something I want you to always remember. And I've never forgot this statement. Kyle, you lose the customer a loaf at a time, you gain them back a slice at a time. Think about that. Obviously, that has to do with bread, but you can put that towards anything in life. When you lose the trust of the consumer and the consumer doesn't believe in you, you lose the whole kit and caboodle. To get them back, it's a small slice at a time if you're that lucky. A lot of people, a lot of companies, that's why they say, 80% of new businesses fail? 85% of brand new items fail because people don't give it a second chance. First impressions matter. First impressions are the most important impression you will ever have. And unfortunately, I feel like Rush Collectibles really missed the boat here. The follow-up response was not very good. The typos were not very good. There was just a lot of problems with it. But I will say, I mean, we'll get into it in the unboxing. I have no issues. From right here, if you're an on-card collector, I like the packaging design. I like what this is representing. The figure, maybe a little iffy. We'll talk about that too, but I think This looks good. So if you're an on-card collector, it's not the total end of the world. But, you know, me and a lot of others, we do unbox these things. So, man, oh man, I don't know what to think. I think they have the biggest uphill battle of all time. We know, was it CMF or CWF figures went by the wayside. I don't know what's going to happen with Rush Collectibles. It's going to be very tough to get funding and people to jump in. I personally excited for the Monster line. I don't know. I don't know if I can take that plunge at this point. And I think a lot of people are going to be in the same boat as me. So I guess you guys sound off in the comments what your thoughts are on there. But Rush Collectibles also this week announced, they put a little teaser out there, and it looks like they're making Arnold Schwarzeneggers. They said 80s movie properties. Are we getting an Arnold Predator? Are we getting a Commando? Are we getting an Arnold something there? I mean, that's very interesting to me, but if they crumple out of the package, not going to be interesting to anybody. So, man, I feel bad. Any business like this, that something like this happens to, man, you just feel bad. It's just a horrible thing, but sometimes you can make things worse by not assessing the damage. And I don't know. I know it costs money to do a lot of things, HR, PR, things like that. It's an expensive business in any business. But, man, somebody's got to be able to read through these things, help with the spelling mistakes, and help, hey, this isn't the message you want. This is not the way I would do things. It's just a mess right there. So I do wish Rush Collectibles well. It'll be interesting to follow to see how they get back from this one because, like I said, you lose them a loaf at a time, you get them back a slice at a time, and that slice is very difficult, and there's a lot of slices in a bread loaf. So we'll see what happens, but man, get me off my soapbox. You guys have had enough of that, I'm sure, by now. So there you go. So that's Rush Collectibles, and we're talking about that. Now we're going to talk about KWK, so we're going to continue on, and of course we know about Mantar. Not Manatar, Mantar. He is up for pre-order right now, went up for pre-order this week. We do know the pre-order schedule. We talked about that before. We got a pre-order in August, September, October, November, smoothing it out a little bit there. But KWK is coming. There's 2 variants of Mantar, and I got to say, now, I think all of us watching this would never say, my favorite wrestler of all time, Mantar. But man, talk about a toyetic-looking figure, a figure that's one of those conversation pieces. People walk by, they see your collection, whoa, what the heck's that guy with that huge old Manatar head going on there? What's up with that figure? That's what this one is here. I do think it is really cool, and let's be honest, you're never going to get a lot of the guys because a lot of the big name stars are signed up to different things. So Mantar is something, a deep cut and very, very cool, and something I am very excited for. And once again, we haven't had any figures from KWK quite yet. We know some of the announcements, we know some of the stuff's coming, we just haven't had them in hand, and we got to give them the benefit of the doubt until they finally do come in hand. So I am anxiously awaiting these. There's 2 different variants, and then a cool thing, but it is a little one, I pull my hair out. We've talked about it before. I'm not a big chase guy. I'm not a big prototype test shot variant guy. They're great if I can get them, but I have such a completionist mindset, it just drives me crazy. So people are going to love this because this makes these highly collectible, but there's going to be prototypes out there. There's going to be test prototypes out there randomly inserted. So only if you pre-order, though. You got to pre-order these to have a chance to get those. But that is an extra era of collectability there for collectors. I think that is really cool. It is something different. It's not always for me, like I said, but I'm not the average guy. There's other people that like this kind of stuff. But man, I'm here for this. The Comic Kid, Pat Tanaka, some of these longtime guys we've never had figures from. I'm just happy they're hopefully coming to realization here in the next year or so. So I'm very excited for this Mantar figure. Just so toyetic. And I think it's worth getting both of them because I want to display one with the big helmet on and one without it. That's the way to go with these 2 here. So we got a little update there, a lot more to come. Stay tuned to all the news, all that kind of fun stuff for more from them. We continue on. Yes, the retro news does not end here. We did see Hessel Toys. He did show us finally a full-on colored version of Leto. Oh, Leto, Boss Skaggs. Oh, wait, that's Lido. Oh, the Lido Shuffle. I always get those confused, but it is technically Carlito. We all know that. Legalities, things like that. But we do get Carlito coming. Definitely looks like a good one. I was very impressed with Ahmed Johnson. The Godfather was... It was what it was. It's not the greatest thing since sliced bread. No pun intended, once again. Losing them a loaf at a time, all that kind of stuff. But I am excited about Men on a Mission and some of the other ones we have coming. Carlito's an okay. It's not super exciting for me. It's Ruthless Aggression era, but it should be an interesting looking figure. Zombie Sailor, who's really the the OG at this in some ways from the third parties and these new companies. It's just, man, the wait list has been a long time. It feels like we've been waiting for Series 2 for an eternity. Supposedly coming very soon, and then supposedly once again, they're going to speed up production across the board going forward. But we did see Big Bully Busick. Man, there's another deep cut in kind of the Mantar vein of things. So we do have that one coming. I don't think this year. I think it'll probably be next year. But we saw that this week. He showed that off on his Instagram. So check that out if you're into. And then he did show some pictures, some Ron Rudat drawings. We did see the Sandman. You guys know me. I love me some ECW. Get me all the Sandman figures. Hopefully that comes. Hopefully all this stuff starts speeding up. I would love to see things on a more consistent basis because we've talked about it in the last couple of months on the channel. It's getting really old talking about these things, getting excited for these things, and then they go up to pre-order 6 months later, and then they come a year from now, and it's like a two hour. I wish it was 2 hours. 2-year wait in some cases for some of this stuff. It's just way too long. It's just way too long of a wait. We just can't do that. And speaking of long waits, here's another one we've been waiting over a year for. This is Epic Toys, the former Cella Toys. We are getting Haku, Tangaloa, and the BWO. Of course, those are going to start shipping, I guess, right now. So they're going to ship to where they go and then ship from there. So I have to think in the next 3 to 4 weeks, we should have those in our hands if we did pre-order those. We'll see what all the fuss is about with those ones. But another third-party retro company that's not, the Mattels of the world, getting their figures out there. There's so much going on. And like I said, I talked about it last year, my predictions for the year. I felt that some of these would fail. We've seen one of these retro companies go by the wayside. I got a feeling there's going to probably be more of some of these third-party wrestling figure companies going by the wayside later on in the year. So there it is. There's a little bit of ranting about retros. The last piece of wrestling news this week, Power Town. Pre-order right now for the Matt and Brian 2-pack, $100. I don't know when the pre-order ends. I think the end of August, but they showed off a little bit more of the packaging, including the back of the packaging. Look like very good figures. We'll see what happens with those. And speaking of Matt and Brian, Super 7 gave their Friday update this week. A lot of their Super 7 Ultimates got pushed back, unfortunately. Different production issues, things like that. But Matt and Brian are one of those, supposed to be out in November 2023. Now January 2024 is what it says for their 2 new Ultimates. So the Power Town and the Super 7 should be coming at the same time. It could be a Matt and Brian showdown. We'll see what happens with those in the future. And then we got just a little bit of toy news left for the week. Not a lot of stuff, which is good because I went on like a 20-minute rant about Rush Collectibles. But let's dive into some He-Man stuff. Ramen Toys, which we'll talk about in the weekly purchases tomorrow. I got something from Ramen Toys that we'll talk about. But they did announce Battle Bones. If you're an old school Masters Universe fan from a kid, you maybe had the Battle Bones. It was a little dinosaur you carry your figures in. They are making one of these. I think that is a cool thing from a third party. I am definitely here for that. We also saw Masters Universe Mattel Creations exclusive next Friday. Fangor is coming. We saw him at San Diego Comic-Con. We knew he was coming. Now we're getting a chance to pre-order him. Good friend of the channel, Midwest Wrestling legend Gage Octane and I are going to try to secure those for our collections. We always work as a team on these. So more to come on that next week in the Toy News of the Week. And then a big one this week, of course, Cat's Lair. Oh my gosh, it was funded. We did our video last week, and I remember saying, oh, we got 1,000 to go. And then I said, you know what Jerry Reed always says? We've got a long way to go, and a short time to get there. But Jerry Reed, for once in his life, was awfully wrong here because overnight, all of a sudden, the Cat's Lair jumped over 1,000. Well, apparently it was a bunch of overseas orders all came in at the same time, brought that thing up very close to 3,000. Then Sunday, they needed like an extra 70 backers, and bam, they got that before Monday. And of course, that means everybody that pre-ordered got the key to Thundera. I'm sure there's going to be like a key to the city presentation for everybody. They're going to say, here, I bestow you the key to Thundera. I'm sure there's going to be like a nice official thing. If not, we'll do it ourselves. We'll do it ourselves. We'll find the mayor of my town and we'll get the key of Thundera presented to me. We'll have a big press conference. I'll take it to my office. It'll be a great time. So stay tuned for that. But we are getting that. Now we look for the other tiers. But as of filming right now, we're at 3,150 backers. I'm just happy this thing backed. I thought it would come down to the wire. I guess I didn't anticipate all that overseas stuff really jumping the number. But man, we're 4 here. We hit it. I'm very excited for this one. I truly do expect it, though, probably 2025, early 2025. We'll see what happens. But, man, I'm here for the Cat's Lair. Shout out to Super 7 for getting this one done, bringing something this to our collection, because truly, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for something like this. So I'm very happy to have this in my collection, or soon, in a year, 2 years, whatever time is, to have this in my collection. So very cool. Then we're going to finish it off here. A little Batman action. Batman Hush announced this week from McFarlane. We've had a couple of versions in the past. I guess this is the definitive version, I guess, at the end of the day. But we got that announced this week. We saw a Jokerized Robin. I just unboxed Jokerized Joker, Target exclusive. I just unboxed that. That'll be on Patreon this weekend. Of course, that is the Bane Build-A-Figure Target exclusive wave there. I'm going back and forth on that one, and I talk about it in that Joker video, so I'll save it for that if you want to hear all my thought process on that stuff. But we did see that, and then it was a big Friday for Batman 66. It looks like Batman, Robin, the Batmobile, Wayne Manor, the Villain's Lair, all getting re-released. No longer a Target exclusive, going to the big bad toy stores, Entertainment Earth of the world, things like that. So if you're looking for those, that's where you can go. But they also officially announced, officially solicited, officially put up for pre-order Lord Deathman, Superman, a weird-looking Superman. Not a big fan of that Superman. And Lord Deathman looks amazing. That looks like one of the best ones yet. Superman, Robot Batman, talk about goofy looking, and then another Joker with a kind of cape and all that kind of stuff going on. So Batman 66 rolls on, making a lot of people happy with that line, no doubt about it. So that was the final bit from McFarlane this week. So a big toy news week, a lot to digest, a lot to soak in, a lot to be passionate about at the end of the day. A lot of news, and we'll look forward to next week's weekly news. It should be a little bit more abbreviated, I would think, if we're going to do a combined video, but as usual, stay tuned for all that. But now we got to go into Album of the Week, and of course, this week was an interesting week, as I, last night, what night is it? What is time? What day is it? But last night, I actually traveled, and I went to see my favorite band, Clutch, in concert. Dinosaur Jr. opened for them, and Red Fang, a sleeper band out there. Love Red Fang. Saw those guys last night, so they should be Album of the Week. But Album of the Week this week is Echoes of Journeys Past from the band called Flight. Yes, Flight. They're from Europe, very underground, of course. They've had, I think, 4 albums out in total, and this is their brand new album. I like some of their older stuff a little bit more than this one. Definitely worth a listen. It's one of those albums that maybe hopefully will grow on me. A little bit more subdued than what I usually listen to. It kind of gives you a Blue Oyster Cult Rush feel, maybe. You know what it reminds me of a little bit there, but it's definitely worth checking out if you're looking for bands you've never heard of, some new wave of traditional heavy metal. Definitely a good sound to them there. So Flight is a band I definitely recommend checking out there. So check out old Flight, check out Clutch, check out Dinosaur Jr., check out Red Fang, check it all out. There it is. So there it is. There's the toy news of the week. What were you interested in? What are your thoughts on the stuff we talked about here? Let me know in the comments down below. Of course, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Videos every single day and then some. We got even more content for you on the Patreon, including Adam Cole giveaway this month and a whole lot of bonus stuff over there. Hundreds of videos. You can see all my pizza reviews for years on there as well. A lot going on the old Patreon channel. And best of all, you do support this channel and all the content it does bring. Pro Wrestling Tees, same thing. Support the channel. Head over to Pro Wrestling Tees. Search Kyle Peterson. Don't forget social media. SirPaul64 on X, the former Twitter. _Kyle_Peterson on Instagram. And, of course, Threads as well. So you know what I'm doing. I'm rocking and rolling, strutting and strolling my way into the weekend.